Hello lovely Stitchy friends, I'm Kat and I'm delighted to welcome you to my channel Catkin and Lillie, where we talk all things cross stitch. So I'm here today with a FlossTube. It's episode number 33 and it's the 22nd of October. And it's been 3 weeks since my last FlossTube episode because, as many of you will know if you're a returning viewer, I've been in Iceland for a couple of weeks, which has been incredibly exciting. But I'm also really excited to be back with you. I can't believe it's been 3 weeks. I have missed you guys. I hope perhaps you might have missed me as well. Maybe not. If this is your first time catching one of my videos, then hello and welcome. It's absolutely wonderful to see you here. I hope you'll really enjoy seeing all my cross-stitch updates. And for my returning viewers, thank you so much for coming back to spend more time with me. And in this particular episode, probably hear a lot about Iceland. You have been warned. But there's stitching as well. I promise you, there's actually a decent bit of stitching to see because I stitched while I was in Iceland. So I have still maintained my record of stitching every single day this year. I think that's pretty good going. So what else do I have for you? I've got a finish, which I snuck in just before I went away to Iceland. I've got a couple of new starts because I did say I was going to start some new projects while I was in Iceland. I've got a couple of whips, but not too many to share. In fact, there's probably a lot less projects this time round than in my usual FlossTube episodes, but we'll come to that later. I've got, well, I thought I would have no new stash. I mean, I've been away, so I can't possibly have been buying anything, right? But well, I haven't been buying anything, but I have a piece of new stash that is also Stitchy kindness. So really excited to share that with you later as well. What else? No FFOs. That's probably not a surprise. I'm not finishing anything, not actually fully finishing anything while I'm on holiday. I've got not a whole lot of any other business, just Iceland. Oh, and a Stitchy day to chat about. And then some plans. So that's all the good stuff coming up. Now I usually, at this point, start off with my cross-stitch ramble. Well, today it's going to be the non-cross-stitch ramble because I thought I would just, well, I'll try and chat briefly about Iceland. My plan is to just give you the highlights because I know some of you have been really interested to hear what I've been up to. But I don't want to sit here and ramble about it for hours because I actually could, because it was incredible. So I'm going to give you my sort of potted highlights really, and then I will probably try and talk more about it, maybe in a Stitch With Me video. So I've still got some notes here because there was so much. Iceland was absolutely amazing. We were there for 2 weeks, 15 days, and I feel like we only really scratched the surface. Lovely husband Dr. Tim and I just kept saying, wow, there is so much here and so much variety, so many things to see. It was absolutely incredible. So I've got my notes here so I can remind myself exactly what we saw because otherwise I'm going to forget something. I will possibly put in a couple bits, a couple of pictures where I can, if I've got something, but I'm going to go as fast as I can through this. So we were driving round Iceland, flew in to the airport, started in Reykjavik, drove all the way round counterclockwise around the island, stopping at various points along the way. We saw 21 waterfalls. Now, given how many Iceland have, that's maybe not many, but it felt like quite a lot. And that was just the named waterfalls that we saw. There were loads of others that we saw just from the car as we were driving. 21 named ones that we actually stopped at, properly saw and took photos of. We had a couple of museums that we visited, which was really interesting. We loved hearing all the history of Iceland. That was amazing. Lots of lava things, lots of lava fields, crazy lava formations. They were kind of everywhere. Everywhere, you know, the land has been shaped by lava, so it really is everywhere in all shapes and forms. We got to go inside a lava tunnel, which was amazing. We went to see a lava show where they basically poured molten lava down in a special channel. That was incredible. We saw lots of lakes, rivers, saw lots of churches. There were churches, tiny little churches, so cute as well, all over the place. We saw a lot of volcanoes. most of the scenery is basically volcanoes. It's very volcanic. If you're seeing what you think are mountains, they're probably volcanoes of one sort or another. And lots of craters. There was one with a really cool lake inside a crater. That was incredible. So much geothermal activity. We saw mud pits bubbling away. We saw water boiling out of the ground. We saw some geysers. That was amazing. One of them called Geyser and one called Strucker, which does erupt quite often. So we did manage to see that. That was amazing. I think I've said amazing. I have no idea how many times already, but yeah, I'm probably going to say it again. Lots of ice, as you might expect. Probably one of the highlights was walking on a glacier. We got to go on a hike across a glacier. Just incredible. We got to walk inside an ice tunnel. It was a man-made ice tunnel. Absolutely astounding. We saw Glacial Lagoon. A few of you recommended not to miss the Diamond Beach, which is where you just basically get ice washed up on the beach. That was stunning. We stood, there's a point, because it's there's two tectonic plates in Iceland. There is a point where they kind of meet, and we actually were able to stand with 1 foot on one tectonic plate and one on the other. So that is the North American plate and the Eurasian tectonic plate. So yeah, that's just so fun to do. We saw some wildlife, mostly birds. Not the right time of year to see my favourite, the puffins, which I would have loved to see, but we'd have to go in summer for that one. But we saw lots of birds. Yes, it was cold. It was pretty cold, but we were prepared for that, so absolutely fine all the way through. But yeah, pretty chilly, especially while we were in the north of the island. The food was really generally pretty good. Lovely husband, Dr. Tim, is I was going to say vegetarian, actually pescatarian. So that works quite well because there's a lot of seafood over there. So we ate pretty well, but it was really expensive. We knew before we went. Everyone says Iceland is expensive. It is. So we did some kind of cheap and dirty meals sometimes, just some sort of fast food, but we had some fabulous meals, slightly posher meals as well. Probably the highlight there was the Viking restaurant that we went to. In fact, I do have a picture of some of the food of there because that was an absolute highlight. It was the most expensive, but it was the most worth it as well. The food was absolutely outstanding. So tasty. Really enjoyed that. What else? Yeah, that's basically it. Apart from the most important reason that we went to Iceland, apart from all that incredible stuff, the reason we really wanted to go, particularly this time of year and at this time when there is a solar maximum, happens every sort of 10 years or so, is to try and catch the Northern Lights. And yes, we saw it. And we only saw it on 3 nights. A lot of the other nights it was too cloudy, or there just was not really any chance of it. Mostly it was too cloudy. We had a couple nights where it was clear. We just saw little bits and pieces, which was still amazing. But we had one night, we hit the absolute jackpot. And I will put some pictures in for you, but I promise you they won't do it justice. Now, we didn't know it at the time, but actually what we got to see was actually a corona event, I think it is. And it's one of the rarest types of Northern Lights. What you tend to see, and what we saw on the other nights, was sort of arcs or bands or kind of ribbons that you see, sometimes some sort of slight sort of striated bits. What we saw was, it looks almost like a crown. It looked like a central sort of darkish point, and literally just came out from there, and it was plastered across the entire sky. The whole sky was covered, and this is why the photos don't do it justice, because I've never seen anything like it, and you can't get it all in one photo. Because if I looked up, it was literally the whole way across. Yeah. To have that one night, it was so special. I was stood out there watching it, just actually kind of giggling like a small child, because it was just, it's hard to describe it really, to be honest. As I say, the photos don't do it justice, but maybe give you a little bit of an idea of what it was like. and yes, I think we're happy with what we saw. So Iceland, absolutely incredible. I'd love to go back again. I don't know when it would happen. I would love to go in summer and see some other wildlife. I would love to do more hiking. We didn't do a huge amount of actual hiking because in winter a lot of it's not so suitable for doing that. So in the summer a lot of the trails would be much nicer, or actually possible at all. So yeah, maybe one day, fingers crossed, we might get to go back again because we had the most amazing time. So that's Iceland. I did say I would try and be brief. It probably hasn't been that brief because we packed so much. There's probably things I've even missed into those 2 weeks. It was, yeah, jam-packed. But I did say I still had some Stitchy time. So I'm going to talk now about my whips and new starts. Now, I did have about a week, not quite a week, between my last FlossTube and when we went to Iceland. But I honestly can't actually quite remember what I stitched. I normally keep a note of it, and obviously with everything going on, getting ready for Iceland, it kind of went out the window. So I don't know 100% what I worked on, and I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be, totally lost my train of thought. Okay, anyway, I did work on some stuff. I'm not going to show you all of the whips because I don't really know which ones I worked on, which ones I didn't, and it's just going to get confusing. So my plan was just to show you the 3 projects that I worked on while I was in Iceland. But then I remembered 2 projects specifically that I did work on before I went away that I know I did work on and thought I would like to show you actually, because I did do some good progress on those. So we have 5 to show you. But I've just realised I forgot. Should start with my finish. Well, there's no should, but I like to start with my finish. So, and it's right here next to me. So, ready to go. Let's start with the finish. The finish, I say I got this just before I went away. I think because I was really trying to get some finishes in before I had new starts on holiday. I only got 1 finish. So I think my whip count is still, it's probably still going up, not down, but we're not worrying about that, are we? The finish is the Christmas tree by Historical Sampler Company. This was one of the mini projects that was in the Advent box from last year. And of course I'm going to be very excited for the Advent box this year to see what the projects are. But here's the one that I finished from last year's box. So this is the Christmas tree, and indeed there is a Christmas tree and 2 cute little reindeer. Now, the reindeer was supposed to be, let me check which way around it was. This one. This reindeer is stitched exactly as he should be, and this reindeer should be exactly the same. But I swapped the order of the colours for the presents, just to make it a tiny little bit different. I thought it would be cute. And I did something else. What did I do? Oh yes, I did do a couple of things actually. I changed the star colour at the top. It was kind of orangey, and I made it gold. And I think in their version, so you can either do them with little red noses like this for the reindeer, or little red beads. Well, I decided in the end there's only 1 red-nosed reindeer, so I have 1 reindeer with a red nose and 1 with a brown nose. So that's my cute little finish. I've yet to decide what I will do with that. Some kind of papercraft finish. I think make it into a little hanging thing. Hanging thing. Very technical that. Either way, that's finished. So let's pop him to one side. And yes, we can actually get onto the whips. So, as I have 2 of them that I was working on before I went to Iceland. Now this one is also really appropriate So the first one I have for you is the Arctic Animals Stitch Along by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Now, I kind of wanted to show you this one because the next part is out. So the picture that I've put up on the info panel, that is part 6, I think. Don't quote me on that. Pretty sure it's 6. And this came out while I was away. And I was so excited because you'll see part 6 is at the top of the design. It's, well, they've called it an iceberg. It sort of looks like mountains to me, snowy mountains. Very reminiscent, with the little huts as well. Really reminiscent of my time in Iceland. So I'm so excited to stitch that. But what I was working on before I went away was the previous part, part 5, which was the Arctic Hare. And if you remember last time you saw it, I had just done the ground for the Arctic Hare. And now I've done all of him. So that's the whole design. And this little guy is what I was working on. Before I went away, I'd done all this ground section. I think I had his feet. Well, he's all in there now. So super cute and ready for me to put all up here. Lots of white stitching. I've got it's not my favourite. White is really hard to make it look neat. For some reason, I think it's just because it's white. It's so visible when your stitches aren't neat. I don't know. Anyway, I will be stitching all of that white, hopefully fairly soon. I'd like to get into that fairly soon. So that's the Arctic Animals Stitch Along. And the other one I really wanted to update you on was the Sorceress. Yes, it is the Sorceress. I had a moment there. The Sorceress by Joan Elliott. And this is because I stitched this, I did a decent little bit before I went away, and I just really love this one. So I think I'm just going to show it to you again. So here's where it's at. And hang on, let me keep it back here for a little bit. So you can see what I was working on was a lot of this section up here. I think, now I can't remember, did I do? Yeah, I think I might have done a little bit here, but I'm not 100% sure. But the main bit that I was working on, I'd done a little bit of this, but I've done a lot of this cape under here now, which is really nice to see that coming together. And it's feeling, you know, I've still got head, there's a big hat, the rest of the chair. It's not that close to a finish, but might not be that close, but he's looking absolutely brilliant. Is a huge chunk done. So yeah, still going to be working on that one and seeing where I can get to. So as I say, I did work on some other projects, but I'm not going to share them. So no Chromatic Dragon this week, but you did get the Stitch With Me Chromatic Dragon while I was away. So it seems like you all really enjoyed that. So thank you for your lovely comments on that. And Chromatic Dragon and probably a whole load of other whips will be back in 2 weeks' time. But now we get to move on to the 3 projects that I took to Iceland. Now this might seem excessive, taking 3 projects away, but I was away for 2 weeks, so I'm going to start with the Autumn Owl from Pigeon Coop Designs. Now this one was really specifically picked because I wanted a small project that I could stitch on the plane. So most of what I've done, I've stitched on the 2 plane journeys or kind of hanging around in the airport. But there were a couple of other days, probably only a couple, where I did put a few stitches in while I was actually on holiday. But most of it has been done in airports. And I'm just looking if I got this. Yes, I have got him up the right way. There's also a thread. I'm going to hide the thread. There we go. So there is Autumn Owl. And you can see I've done a decent bit. He's really just got, I've got a bit of body here and his head to do. And then there's some foliage here and here. And hopefully it won't take too long to actually finish him. I think he's gorgeous. The colours are lovely. So he will now become, I think, my work project because it's small. Again, nice small project, easy stitching, something to take to work. So I think he'll go into being my work project for now. The other project that I took, and I've actually put a picture on Instagram well, I'm filming this on Tuesday, the picture's going up tomorrow, and you will be watching this video anytime from Thursday evening, so you may already have seen this on Instagram. I took the Historical Sampler Company, the Christmas Stitch Along. It's called, now, do you know what? I keep getting these names around the wrong way. I'm going to put my extra notes up here because I am pretty sure I'm going to say this wrong. It is the Robin Christmas Patchwork SAL. Goodness me, I don't know why I have trouble remembering which order those words go in, but I do. Now, this started on the 14th of October while I was away, so I took it with me. Because again, I thought it would be a nice project to work on while I was away. I didn't want to start off on the back foot by coming home and already kind of being behind. And yeah, it was a lovely one to take. So here's where we are. That is where I've got to. Lots of white stitching in this one as well. Lots of cute motifs. Of course, the robin is my absolute favourite. And I've almost done that. I've almost done part one. I've got the stockings to finish in here. And I think that might be almost it actually, because I won't stitch any kind of half motifs. So there are pieces. So there's a bit here. There's a half a bell. Well, I'm not going to stitch it until I've got the rest of it. So there are some other bits on there that are in part one, but I won't stitch them at the moment anyway. And I don't have long to wait because part two will be out 28th. Yes, 28th of October. So not very long to wait anyway. So I'll wait for part two. Can't wait to dive into that. Loving the colours on here. It's got lots of combo with red and pink. And I'm always a bit like, I find it hard to design with red and pink, to combine them. And my brain always thinks it won't look good. Well, it certainly looks good on this one, I can tell you. Red and pink looks really pretty. So that one I was stitching kind of in my mornings. If I had a few minutes, basically between breakfast and when we were going out, we'd just sit and have a few minutes to kind of chill, digest breakfast before we would head off for whatever packed day we were having. So I would put a little bit in on this one. And I got quite a lot done, as you can see. The other project, so this is the final project I have for you, and it was surprisingly even more appropriate than I first thought. You'll see why. This is not fitting on my board. We will bear with. This is the winter's gift. Goodness me. I'm having a few moments today, aren't I? 3 weeks off and you think I've never done a FlossTube before. The Winter's Gift by Joan Elliott. Now I took this because I wanted to get back into stitching it because it's not quite winter. I was going to pick it back up in November, decided October was close enough and I just really wanted to get back to it. And wintry, I thought wintry while I was in Iceland would just really go, and I wanted a more complicated project that I could work on in the evenings. And I made sure I took a light with me so that I had really good light to stitch by. So the Winter's Gift was my project for stitching in the evenings. And I got loads done. I think because, no, I'll tell you, let me show you first. No, I can't leave you hanging. Here it is. Just look at that. That's, no, gosh, I'm missing it. Hang on, I have to hold it all the way back here. Because I've got all the way up to here. I'll bring it in and you can see, I think the new bits I've been working on while I was away, I did this red streamer, the green one. I've done all of this bit of sort of veil or headdress or whatever it is. There's some hair in here that I've done. And I started on the arm of her dress. She's got a big billowy arm. So that's where I'm at. Bring it back here again. You can see it just looks so huge now. And that up here, that is almost the top. I'm really amazed how much I got done. I think if anyone's thinking, how on earth did I get that much done? Well, it's because I think we packed a lot into our days, but in a fairly short space of time. So, and we get up early. So we get up early I'd literally have a few minutes of stitching in the morning. We'd go out, we'd be out by 8:30, 9 at the absolute latest if we were changing hotels. So we would then be out all day doing stuff and then come back to the hotel maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, get ready for to have a little bit of chill time before dinner, and then I'd stitch afterwards, sometimes before dinner if I had more time as well. So we packed a lot in, but because we did so much, really did need that downtime in the evening, which is where I put the stitches into this one. Now, I said that this was even more appropriate than I thought, because this picture is, you can't see much of it yet. All you can see is, where is it? The tail. But up here, she's holding an Arctic fox. At least I'm assuming it's an Arctic fox. It is now, because they have Arctic foxes in Iceland. Not only do they have Arctic foxes, but it's the only animal, the only mammal that is actually native to Iceland, that hasn't been brought in from somewhere else. All the other mammals, everything else has come in, you know, from mice and what have you, to obviously sheep and cows and horses. Everything else has been brought by humans, I think, to Iceland. The Arctic foxes have always been pretty much in Iceland because they were in Greenland and they came down to Iceland when Greenland and Iceland were connected by a land bridge. And then the land bridge disappeared and the Arctic fox was still stuck in Iceland. So Arctic foxes it was incredibly appropriate, even though I didn't actually stitch any of the Arctic fox. This project still felt so good to take with me. It just felt really appropriate. And again, it's getting really close to a finish. So I will definitely be working on that. I think it's going to be those couple of fancy ladies that you've seen. I feel like they're going to be a priority to work on because I would love to get one of those finished. Now, in fact, I'm actually planning on working on that one, The Winter's Gift, for a Stitch With Me video. As I say, you guys have been really enjoying the Stitch With Me's. I've had a few calls for more Joan Elliott, please. And I thought if I did a Stitch With Me with The Winter's Gift, I could ramble a little bit more about Iceland because there's so much more I could say. So maybe we'll combine that and try and do that fairly soon. I say fairly soon, actually, it probably won't be, but it will be coming. We'll have that on the agenda to do at some point. Right, that is, I'm checking my notes. Yes, that is the project. That's all the stitching that I have to share with you, which means we're on to new stash. Now, this is a little bit surprising to me because my new stash, I haven't really had any new cross stitch stash because I've been away. So I haven't actually been buying anything. All I've been buying is non-stitchy gifts to bring home from Iceland. I bought a couple of really cute mugs with puffins and whales on them. I bought some chocolate because I always like to buy chocolate when we go away. And I bought some amazing lava coasters. Just, yeah, stunning. So I bought myself some gifts, but nothing stitchy. But the one thing I do have to share with you arrived today. So this is hot off the press and I didn't think I'd have this to share with you. And I'm going to reach for this here. This is some stitchy kindness because I have actually been following on Instagram a lovely lady called Emily, who is on Instagram as the pop-up stitcher. And she's in the United States, makes some lovely, lovely project bags and a very cute little accessory to go with them called a thread bestie. Now, I was looking at these and thinking, wow, those look really lovely. But the shipping from the States to the UK here, well, it's not happening. And then Emily very kindly got in touch with me and said, would I like to have a bag and thread bestie set to share with you all so I can tell you how amazing it is. And it is amazing, you'll see. So of course I said yes. I was over the moon. I can't believe she was kind enough to send me a bag and a thread bestie. and they are beautiful. So I'm going to show you these first and then I will talk a little bit more about them. So here's the project bag. So I've gone for a Christmas one. So I have on the back, I've got the lovely stripy fabric, gorgeous red and green, and look at that fabric on the inside. Isn't that just amazing? I've got a little tab on here. Now this is not only, it says pop-up stitcher, but also you've got space on the back. You could write the project name on there, that's in there as well. It's got a lovely zip. I won't zip and unzip, but you can see, I don't know if you can see, it's just really, really well made, this bag. The zip is beautifully done. It's incredibly sturdy. This bag, it's kind of hard to show, but like if I did that, most project bags are just going to bend. Look at that. It absolutely doesn't. I mean, only a tiny bit under its own weight, but it doesn't bend. It's not floppy. So it's got lovely, I don't know what, really thick interfacing or something, or witchcraft, but yeah, beautifully sturdy. I say the zip is beautifully done. The stitching, she does zigzag stitching around here to make sure that it's absolutely really sturdy and not gonna come apart. The vinyl is lovely thick vinyl, really beautiful. The fabric is just gorgeous. I don't think I can say any more nice things about it actually, because I've had quite a lot of project bags and I do think this one is absolutely fabulous. I absolutely love the quality of this bag. Have I got anything else I needed to tell you about that? No, I think that's everything I wanted to say about the bag. I don't want to miss anything because I think you'll see with the bag and with the extra bit I'm going to show you, the care and the attention to detail that has gone into these bags. You can really tell every little bit has been thought about and put together beautifully. So this brings me to this little number. This is the Thread Bestie. So it's got a little, it's a little fabric pouch, obviously coordinating. It's got the little, a little elastic closure there on the button, and on the inside, I've got a lovely. Now I don't know what it. I think it's not actually. It's either felt or something, but it's not. It's not really fluffy, so it's not going to come off on your threads. Got a little tab here for your needle to go in. So this is basically a little thread bed. So you could use it for, well, I think the intention is that you could use it to catch your orts. So your little tiny ends of thread, you can pop them on here if you're stitching out about, and then basically they're not going to get lost and float all over the place. They're not going to go on the arm of the sofa like mine usually do. You've actually got a place that you can pop your little ends of thread on there, and that will keep them all safe so that you can then throw them away or save them or do whatever you do with your orts. But I actually thought this was probably quite useful as well to have, in that I often find that I'm doing a couple of bits and I've taken a few pieces of thread that I know I want to use in a few minutes and I want to put it down somewhere and I don't want to lose it, and I could put it on this as well. So I thought that was really useful. And I'm not even finished yet, because on the back, look at this. You've got a little zipper pocket. Is it zipped or unzipped? Oh, we're doing zip noises. It's got a little pouch on the back, which is perfect. I can show you here actually, for your scissors. How cool is that? It now means you can pop your scissors in there and they won't catch on your threads or your fabric or anything else that you've got in your project bag, and you can just then pop that inside and you've got everything all together. Well, I think you can tell I'm pretty impressed with this. Now, the very sad thing about this is, as I mentioned, that Emily, Pop-Up Stitcher, is in the United States. And unfortunately, that probably does mean that shipping to the UK is probably a little bit much for most people. But for those of you that are watching and are in the US, go and check out the shop. because I can see as well that since I've got this lovely bag, Emily has been very busy, put tons of other bags in the shop. There are loads. Bags individually, you can buy the little thread besties individually, and you can buy the sets. So do go and take a peek. I will put a link in the description for the Etsy shop, but she's also on Instagram as well as Pop-Up Stitcher. So go and follow her on Instagram. Go and check out the bags in her Etsy shop. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Yes. Have I said everything I wanted to say? Oh, I tell you the other thing I'll say. It came beautifully packaged. Really, really well packaged. Beautifully packaged in tissue paper with a cute little sticker. And then in a really sturdy cardboard mailer. So no chance really of it getting damaged on its way to me. And it came flat, nice and flat, no folding. I mean, goodness, that would ruin it, I think, if you folded that, because it's, you know, so yeah, beautifully packaged as well, very safely packaged, and got to me brilliantly. So I can't wait to find a project to put in there. I have got Christmas things lined up, which is why I chose a Christmas bag. Can't wait to use it. I will report back to you, but I think I'm going to love using it. I don't think I'm going to suddenly find that I don't like it. So that was my little bit of stitchy kindness. Thank you so much, Emily, for sending me that. It's fabulous. And I hope more people will come and support your shop because, yeah, I can definitely attest to the quality. I don't say that I like things if I don't like things. I would just quietly not say anything at all. So, yeah. You can rest assured that it's really good. Right, where are we up to? Plans. Plans is a little bit of an odd one, it feels like at the moment, because I don't really know what I want to do. I feel coming back from Iceland, I'm a bit unsure what I'm doing. I usually have my monthly plan and my daily and weekly, and I work out what I'm doing, and I don't really know what I want to do. If I'm honest, I don't know what I want to be stitching on at the moment. I do know that I want to keep my themed days, so I've been having Merry Mondays where I do Christmas stuff, Fancy Lady Fridays, and what's the other one? SAL Sundays. So I will keep those. I'll probably keep a day in my rotation for Chromatic Dragon. And other than that, I might just kind of, at least for another week or so, I might just go with whatever I feel like, because I've got a couple of things that are hopefully going to be finished soon. They just need a little bit of sorting. So I'm hopeful I'm going to have finishes next time for you. And maybe get that whip countdown. I said it's not really budging at the moment. I don't even know how many I have. I'm not looking. October calls for Whip Go. At least that was very easy because the October calls was a new start, and I've done that. And an FFO, so a fully finished object. So I will do maybe that little Christmas finish. Maybe I'll finish that one up. Maybe something else. Not entirely sure. I do want to try and finish some Halloween stitching. I haven't wanted to show you this time because I hadn't done very much. But the little Shannon Christine Designs Halloween pieces that I've been working on, I do need to try and get those finished up because Halloween is like a week away, a little bit more than a week. I mean, you can see I've done my display here. I've got a couple of bits and pieces up here that are a couple of my own ones, the Boo and the House. Those are patterns for my Etsy shop. And the other two are little Doreen Jones patterns. So I've got some Halloween stuff, but I'd like to finish some more. So yeah, maybe try and work on that. What else? I think that's kind of it on plans. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's very woolly, I think, is what we can say about plans this time around. Any other business we are now moving on to, and I've covered loads of stuff with Iceland. That was most of the any other business. But I do want to mention that I had an amazing time at Tan's birthday stitchy day. So Tan, the monogamous cross stitcher, had a day for her 40th birthday. Really fantastic day. We had a room booked. was able to meet up with some Stitchy friends, make some new Stitchy friends. So yes, hello if you were there that day, and if I chatted to you, I had a wonderful time, ate some cake, got some stitching done. Tan gave us a little goodie bag. Was not expecting that, but yeah, really lovely little goodie bag. And I did bring two other things to show you. In fact, you've half seen one already and you wouldn't have realised it, because it was actually the scissors that I was popping in here earlier. These gorgeous, gorgeous scissors. Look at that. He's upside down, but there you go. Put them the right way up. Stalk scissors in the gorgeous rainbow. They're sort of iridescent. Absolutely love that. I have a pair of scissors in this colour, but they're plain shape. They're not the stalk ones. And I love them. So these are my new favourite scissors. And she had little needle minders made for us. Look at this, from Kate Blandford. It's a little cupcake with a 40 on it. That's incredible. So I haven't used that one yet. I left it on here to make sure that I showed you guys. So I'm going to be using that later, hopefully. So that was, yeah, we had some little sweets in there as well. It was so thoughtful. Thank you, Tan, for organising such a fantastic day and for the little gifts. It was wonderful. I had a really, really nice time. And that was literally just before I went to Iceland. So yeah, I was probably a bit excited about Iceland and the Stitchy Day all at once. Oh, and I hope Tan will let me put a picture in, but I made a little badge for her. A little 40 badge with a little cross stitch 40 and put it on a little hoop. So hopefully I will try and put in a picture for you of the badge that I made her. And she did wear it. She was very kind enough to wear the badge. So yeah, I had so much fun making that. And Tan, I hope you had a absolutely fantastic day. You deserve to have the most wonderful time. And yeah, I hope you did. One other really important piece of news actually is, last time I mentioned that I'd reached 7,000 subscribers. There's a few more of you now. So hello again to anyone who's new since the last video 3 weeks ago. I still haven't got my giveaway for you. So apologies again, but honestly, this video, I thought it wouldn't be that long because I didn't have that many whips. It's still going to be long, and I've got some lovely stuff on the way that I'm hoping to use for the giveaway. It hasn't arrived yet, so still pending, not forgotten, I promise. Absolutely promise, have not forgotten the giveaway. Maybe I'm still just needing time to process 7,000 subscribers because it is kind of crazy. Either way, I will do one next time, 2 weeks' time. I will do a giveaway. Hopefully. And that really is it. That is everything, or at least everything that I have remembered. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold up a minute there. Cat from the very slight future popping back in here because I did not mention everything that I wanted to mention. 3 weeks ago when I made my FlossTube, I said that I was going to do a little mini stitch along with a pattern from this gorgeous book that I'd had. And I was going to do a stitch along with Blizzard Valley, which is this fabulous design. I fell in love with it, and I mentioned in my last video that I was going to do a little stitch along. I am, having only been back from Iceland one day, you can imagine I have not sorted out what I'm doing with it yet. So all I wanted to say is that is also not forgotten about. It will be coming up soon, and I will tell you all about it in 2 weeks' time. And back to past Cat. So thank you very much for joining me for another very rambly FlossTube episode. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about Iceland, or maybe you just skipped that part if you weren't that interested, that's fine. Either way, I hope you've maybe got some stitching done on a project while you've been listening to me. And of course, I will be back in 2 weeks' time with another FlossTube episode. I should be popping up next week with a tip or tutorial of some kind. if you have enjoyed all of this cross-stitch nonsense, then please do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single stitch. Until next time, happy stitching. Bye for now.